At UFC 311, we saw Islam Makhachev defend his UFC lightweight title for the fourth time. When his original opponent, Arman Tsarukyan, pulled out at the last minute, he accepted a replacement in the number 7 ranked Renato Money Moicano. The Brazilian, who's been in the UFC since 2010, was in the middle of a late-stage career resurgence and riding a 4-fight winning streak. And let's face it, a lot of fans wanted him to win this fight. I mean, who doesn't love Money Moicano? The guy's hilarious, is a great fighter, and this was the perfect setup for his Cinderella story. And when he seemingly knocked Islam down in the first round, it really seemed like it was going to happen, but then it didn't, and Islam just easily took him down and choked him out, justifying the minus 1200 odds. And upon further replay, we find out that the knockdown wasn't even a knockdown, but a slip, completely erasing the illusion that Moicano was ever even in the fight. So now that he's broken the record for most title defenses in lightweight history, we can objectively and officially say that Islam Makhachev is the greatest lightweight fighter of all time. But how valid is that really? Because I personally never bought into the whole you defend a title this amount of times and that automatically makes you the greatest thing. For example, that rhetoric really annoyed me to no end with Stipe Miocic. You know, Stipe, the greatest heavyweight of all time that somehow got beat by several fighters in his prime and was 2 seconds away from losing in every single fight he was ever in. And no disrespect to Stipe, he's still a great fighter that accomplished a lot, but how do I come to terms with the fact that I can think of several fighters that would beat him in their primes? I mean, does the greatest heavyweight of all time really play it safe with Roy Nelson or get beat up by Stefan Struve? I don't think so. In my opinion, in order to be called the greatest, you actually have to be better than everybody else. Title defenses could just be a matter of being in the right place at the right time or in the right era of the division with the right team. And sure, 90% of the time the champion is the best fighter in the division, but not every single time. I mean, was DC better than John Jones when he was champion? Was Rich Franklin better than Anderson Silva? We saw those fights, obviously not. So with that said, is Islam Makhachev currently the best guy in his division? Yeah, for sure, but is he better than every single champion that came before him? Most of them. I think he would absolutely steamroll Conor McGregor, Eddie Alvarez, Rafael Dos Anjos, but you see where I'm going with this, right? I'm not fully convinced that he's better than Khabib. And I know that Khabib would be the first one to come out and say that he is, but that's what he's supposed to do. But just analyzing both of their careers, Islam looks a lot less impressive when he's winning than Khabib did. He's not straight up steamrolling people and giving them the deer in the headlights look in their eyes the way Khabib did. I mean, just look at their common opponent in Dustin Poirier. Khabib beat the shit out of him while Islam was getting the shit beaten out of him at points. Simply put, Khabib never showed the same level of vulnerability that Islam did. I mean, think of this, he never even bled in any of his 29 fights. And you can make the argument that he simply didn't defend his title enough to appear vulnerable, but let me ask you this, how impressive are Islam's title defenses really? He went life and death with a featherweight in Volkanovski and then beat him again on 10 days notice when he didn't even have a training camp. After which, Volk went on to get brutally finished in his own weight class by Ilia Topuria, who also wants to fight Islam, and you can see why. Then he fought Dustin Poirier and was less than impressive, and now he fought a last-minute replacement in Money Moicano through no fault of his own, of course, but again, you can't call this an impressive victory. So apparently, in order to become the greatest lightweight of all time, all you have to do is beat a guy a weight class under you twice, Dustin Poirier, and a number 7 ranked opponent. Let's take it a step further. Islam Makhachev only beat one previous lightweight champion in Charles Oliveira. By comparison, Merab Dvalishvili beat 4 in a row, and yet nobody's calling him the greatest bantamweight of all time. I'm just saying the UFC throws the greatest label around way too often purely as a marketing tactic. I mean, at one point Ronda Rousey was the greatest and we all saw how that turned out. Look, Islam is a great fighter, no doubt about it, but he's not the unsolvable puzzle that they're making him out to be. And people buying into the title of him being the greatest lightweight of all time are just setting themselves up for disappointment, because even if he never loses again, if he goes through any kind of adversity in a fight, that title is going to come into question. He's got many fights to go before he can safely wear that crown. Plus, he got knocked out by Adriano Martins. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and notification bell next to it. And if you want to support this channel further, become a member by hitting the join button if you're on desktop or Android, or the link in the description if you're on iOS.
Brother, honestly, I can do many things.